Hello, everybody. I'm doing part two of this Dartstop kid model or character model. You'll see that I'm going back on this round and trying to clean up the model. I want to give it a little bit more optimized look so that when I go back and put details, it's not so bad. And I'm gonna go back and Z remesh the top of the jacket so that it's not so chaotic as like you see. I try to subdivide it right here after I Z remeshed it, but it wouldn't go. It's because I had a mask on the back, and so it wasn't keeping my levels. And I was trying to figure this out for a while. Seemed like forever, but then I looked at the back of the model. I'm like, oh, there you go, unmask. So now I have my division steps inside of there, and you can see that the mesh is a little bit cleaner. I'm gonna start putting in little details on the pockets and stuff. I want to keep the playful, cartoony, or just playful look to it in there. And going in, I'm gonna use some of the dam standard. And after the dam standard, I usually use the slash 2 brush, and you'll see it in a little bit. But right now, I'm doing the dam standard to kind of crease out little details for the cloth, the jacket pockets and stuff. Right here, I think I realized, like, why am I using the dam standard? I got a slash 2 brush. And so if you haven't used the slash 2 brush, it'll help. And I'll show you in a bit. Right here, I'm going to get the front jacket. I'm going to line it up and crease it. And the speed that I'm doing this is at double the time. I don't want to get too involved in trying to narrate, and I wanted to zone out that the model and just get lost in it and start doing some sculpting. Sometimes it's tricky to record and dictate. Oh, here you go. I'm going into the light box and going to your brushes, and then going under slash brushes and grabbing the slash 2. I didn't want to miss that. Tell you, I'm going to delete this model, and you'll see how I use a slash 2 brush. And it's really good for fabric. In case you never used this brush, I think you'll like it a lot. It does a lot for whenever you're trying to do folds inside of either clothing or just basic fabrics. It's just fun to use this on. Can also be good for skin wrinkles if you have certain real defined characteristics on your model. It'd be fun to do on there too, and it can give you that folded skin look too at the same time. But right now we're using it for the jacket. And right now, just varying up the model, kind of giving a little bit more character and keeping it symmetrical at the same time. Going to the head now, trying to give more detail. And I'm going to append the eyes, I believe, right here. So we're going to go, or actually, we insert, looks like. But I think I go back to the append. No, I don't. Okay. So I just do a group mask split, I think. And now I'm just trying to place the eyeballs where they probably would go. We'll do a mask, split mask parts. And we'll divide that up. Sometimes if I don't do that insert, I'll use the append subtool. Whatever works. I like both. This one, the insert works because you can just put it where you want it on the model. The other way, you got to place it after you have it scaled down and everything else. I'm going to use a project primitive here. It's really fun tool to use if you're still getting used to it. They kind of just added this to one of the recent versions or later versions this past year. Still taking just a little bit to get used to, but once you use it often enough, you'll find that it's really useful tool inside of ZBrush. Right here, I have the pants. I think as I'm going, I go back to see Modeler to actually start inserting some more detail, because sometimes you can model each all the way around, but if you can just use an edge loop and get some detail quicker, more power to you. Save some time and a little more control. So what I do here is start using the Z modeler and start extruding out these parts and give it more cuts, so that whenever it subdivides, it's not getting too soft or on the edges. Now you can kind of see a little more definition. I'm going to add more edge loops here. It says you can't do it with all these subdivisions. You got to have no subdivisions. So I think I'll start it, remove all, and then go back and add my creases. And you can see in here the little cuts going in. And I'm adding a few more cuts so for definition for whenever I do subdivide. It's not so big of a deal. And we'll divide it up. And you'll see we got a little bit cleaner model. So whenever you bring it to another program or say inside of ZBrush, it's a lot cleaner. We can actually work with it. Right here, I'm trying to push in the crease for the pants. So I'll go to top view, ghost, mask it, invert, and push it back. So we get a little more definition going on instead of trying to use the damn standard to get a little more crease. I already got the polygons there, and I'm more familiar with the polygon modeling. Sometimes it goes back and forth, but it's a lot easier. We can just grab a lot of vertices and make it do it too. So it looks like I jumped to the arm, kind of back and forth on this model. I'm going to crease it some more on the elbow with the /2 right here. And as you'll see, it gives you a pretty quick result. Okay, and that one's not clean, so I'm going to Z remesh this too. Go into Z remesher and probably get that cleaned up. Half of the resolution legacy. Going from there, and we're going to let it process and let it go on there. Let's see what it does. If it's processing slowly, doing its thing, and you'll see that this method I'll probably Z remesh it a couple times or not. I think I subdivided. I think I did Z remesh it again. You just couldn't see it since it was double time. Usually I'll knock it down low enough. Sometimes. I don't know if I did it this time. So cutting more folds using that /2 brush. Getting some definition in the jacket. A little more things. I wanted the sleeves to be a different material, so I went ahead and separated them as different meshes too. And it kind of helps with the blocking out. I think right here I'm going to merge it down to the jacket so that I can actually get the folds to be more consistent with the model. So I'm going to merge it down. I'm making sure that they both have the same amount of subdivisions so that it doesn't lose anything. And it should keep it to subdivision 2. Yeah. The arms have a little bit more detail, but I wasn't too really concerned about it. I just want these flow lines, the folds, to kind of be continuous from one model, from the shoulder. And so that's what I'm doing here. Just trying to add more detail. I might subdivide it one more time, I think, but I don't think it's that big of a deal for the distance, and just having fun with it. There's nothing wrong with having fun. So looking at the model, yeah. And subdivide it one more time. A little more detail. Enhancing these creases on there. Get that pocket. Because it's cold outside for whatever reason. It's actually chilly today. I'm kind of surprised this far into the year, and it's not often. That Texas weather for you. Shorts one day, jacket the next, and raincoat the next, and swimming one day and something else, It's all good. Keeps life interesting. So right here we're going to do the pants creases, trying to get a little more subdivision in there and detail and get some folds. get these blue jeans or those baggy pants from the 90s. I don't know if y'all remember that. Might be reaching too far back for some of y'all. You'll be like, man, I don't even know what you're talking about. But I'm trying to do some creases here. I don't know. I forgot the name of the pants, but they were pretty popular back then. They were real baggy. Looked like cartoon characters everywhere. But that was the times. Put more creases on the leg. And I think I try to cut it in. It's so close to the other side that it's pulling it. But there we go. Let's start creasing this out. A little more detail. Center area. The character's starting to look a little bit more defined. /2 for the pocket. Boom. And again, this tool is so useful. Easy pockets, easy folds. And so right here, I'm going to put some eyelids on them. And I'm using the project primitive when I do it. This helps a lot whenever you're just trying to do a good blocking out too. I love that this new tool has become real useful on certain things like this. I'm going to push the sphere around and put it back over the eye, but I'm going to slice it back up on the geometry. And so you'll see right here, I'm going to push up on that little white, and that actually slices it and then placed. And you almost got an eyelid. And then I scale it and make it work. I do a symmetry at the top right there. When you use it, you have to do the symmetry within the gizmo and not with the button. So we got eyelids on the character. I'm going to divide the face up to give it a little bit more subdivisions. I'm going to smooth it out. Right here, I want to give it like that clay look, so I go the H polish. And I polish it up a little bit more claymation look. And then try to give a little more definition to them. So you can see that it's just pushing and pulling and here and there. And since this character is not like a fully detailed crazy character, you can have I like sometimes I like simple, and then simple is a lot quicker and a lot more defined at times, but it just depends on the mood. Sometimes you just want to just chill and make a little story with it. And the reason why I put dart stop or whatever, because it's how people, are always waiting for something there. So figured people always got headphones or looking at their phone. I figured he's just cold, so he can have his hands in his pocket and his Bluetooth headphones. Right here, try to get. I think I try to give him a little more cheekbone, but in the end, I kind of like smoothed it back out. I want that clay look, but just a little definition, not too much. His head's gonna need some adjusting later on, but for now, it's kind of a big cartoony head. I'm gonna give him I wanted to give him some like a mustache or a goatee or something, but maybe later on, fixing the hat, give it a little more baseball cap edginess to it. And there you go. I'm starting to get a little more detail in there. And we do a little quick render. Looks fine. Look at the back. The hoodie needs some attention. We're gonna see look at that. Just triangles everywhere. So we Z remesh it half resolution, and we'll get like a cleaner model from this, and probably do it a few times. Clean it up, and /2 brush comes to the rescue. Keeping the subdivisions in there and going from there, and that /2 just does its thing. You don't really have to do much to it. It's already preset up, and I need to make it towards mainly a brush that's a common brush, a hotkey. A lot of my brushes are in hotkeys. That should be one of them, but it isn't yet. I think I ran out of keys, so I need to find a key that's Right here, I'm gonna put the little the rope, pull your hoodie up. I think I was having some trouble, and I always forget this one. To where I wanted to follow the body, the contours of the body. So this brush works. I'm like, well, why does it work? And I remembered it was something to do with some setting, and you'll see where I find it. If you go to where you at, layer. I'd have to look where I find it in here in the video, but it doesn't snap to the surface, so that's where I'm trying to get it to work. And so I'm back and forth, a little struggle. I'm like, well, why does it work there? And it's right there, it's somewhere around here. No, it's the next one over. It's right there, somewhere in there, sweet spot right there. And the memory, it's always this one little button, and I forget where it's at, and I'm like, oh, well, look at that. I always get sidetracked. And so let's see if we find it. And I look at the other settings and seeing why that worked, and that seemed to work. It was in there. And I didn't get to see where I grabbed that from. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it in my second screen. Spotlight. Yeah. So it worked. I'm just trying to remember where I found that. And I don't see it. Depth. Okay, it's under picker, depth, and continuous Z is what you need to have checked. And it's buried in there. I need to pull that out of my menu so I don't always have to do that. It's it makes you, it's one of those head scratchers where you're just like thinking like, I know it's around here. I've done this before. And then if you don't do it often enough, I don't do it often enough to have to use that, but I should know that by now. But I know enough to know where to look. I just gotta keep looking, and it takes a little bit of time. So now you can see we got a little bit more definition. I'm going to the shoes. He needs shoelaces. I'm like, man, this dude has no shoelaces. And we started just doing the old kind of masking extract method. And for what this is, a fun model, we just do it real quick. Bam, bam. Like, sure, well, let's accept that. And then we try to clean it up. I try to relax it right here, but it didn't seem to work because it started bubbling out on the middle, on the back ones. So I believe what I do is a Z remesh it until I get low enough, because you get all this weird wormy looking shoelaces. They look like worms. So I'm gonna Z remesh it and just do it half, and half, and to where it gets low enough to where it doesn't really matter. So you'll watch right here. I'm just gonna go Z remesh, but like, don't forget the legacy. Click it. There you go. And then we're gonna go half, and we're gonna lower this to almost just a few polygons. That way it can kind of relax on its own. And see, you can see it's relaxing. And there you go, some shoelaces. And then mirror that, and we got shoelaces going on the shoes. I try to figure out another method for getting the shoe rings, but I wanted to I didn't really want to get too hooked on some of the details, so we're just going to push this down. Oh, can't have that. All right. And I'll play with this for a little bit. I wanted to get something to kind of look at, but in the end, I just kind of go with the simple. a little too deep. I'm like, yeah, it looks like it's sunken in his foot if I don't put the rest of the shoe in there. So I just kind of barely nudge it and relax it. That way you got a little detail. And I'm like, all right, let's try to see if there's a ring I can put in here. And no, there wasn't. There wasn't anything I was happy with. I look in here, looking there, looking everywhere. And I try to put it in. Let's see what happens. It could have worked. But there's only so much time of the day that I had. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to paint this in. And that's what happens. Ring, ring, done. Didn't want to fuss about the small stuff. For this cartoony character, it didn't really matter. I was going to do a poly group and do a kind of panels, but I decided just to go back to the modeler. It's a clean model. Can't hurt it. Just take out a few edges and then play with it right there. Zoom in. Sometimes you get too many polygons. It's kind of hard to get these lines, but there you go. And you got that one. I'm going to extrude it, poly loop, and make a little indent. Boom. And done. That's your shoe. Simple. And that's getting pretty close to where I think I stop pretty soon from this. I'll probably put a little more detail. But it's nothing I was looking for. What was I looking for? Oh, I wanted to put the logo on top of his hat, but I kind of ran out of time after a while just looking for it. I was going to put some more detail on him. But I'm looking at him, rendering him, smoothing out some of these details. Some of them a little too. He's got no legs. Let's make that happen. You know, you don't even see this part of the model, but for some reason, you gotta model it. Because I'll be like, that dude had no legs. They sewed the back of his legs. And there you go. We're actually getting a lot of detail just subtly in with that /2. /2 does wonders. It does a lot of stuff. I like how fast it works. So I start looking at the model, different colors, and I think I start playing with the edge, the tune lines. You know, they just added this, or depending on when you watch this video, but I'm like, I want to play with this too. So that's what I do. I kind of go in here and start playing with these edges and trying to get like a little more stylized look. I might need to enhance some of his features on his face, but I wanted to mess around with it, and that's really where this end of the video goes. It's like, all right, let's see what he looks like, kind of like toon shaded. And he's toon shaded, but for what it is right there, you can see. But that's most of it. I'm gonna probably add like a scene later on if I get some time. But for the most part of it, the model is it's mostly there. If I poly paint it, maybe that'll be the next thing I do on them. Maybe I'll get some poly painting going. I really don't want to export them from ZBrush. I like staying inside of ZBrush. It's so fun to stay inside of here and not really go anywhere else. It's like a fun thing. I could export them to 3D Max, but I'd rather stay here. If I go anywhere else, it'll be Photoshop, but that's it. I won't go past the train stop. My stop is there, Photoshop. So this is I'm saving this out and saving a render. And not really much to this right here after that. Just rendering out, saving it, and there you go. And then you end up with this render. So hopefully later on I can add some textures. So thank you for watching.